Hello everybody and welcome back to the Retro Recall. I hope you're doing awesome. Today we have a pretty cool machine in front of us on the bench today. We have a vintage Toshiba Satellite T1960CT. This particular laptop was more of the performance model of the series. The other machine that would have slightly different specs, slightly lower specs, would have been the Toshiba 1960CS. So this particular machine was manufactured in the 93-94 era. I was able to find some research on that online. I was able to also verify when I loaded up the system settings in the machine, which the equivalent of the BIOS. I mean, this doesn't have a notable BIOS, just more of a proprietary Toshiba BIOS that's in here. But again, I was able to see that. So what I want to do today is kind of just do a general overview of the machine. The machine needs some TLC. There's some issues with the machine. Most notably, the CMOS battery needs to be replaced. There's proprietary parts that are missing from the machine, which I do want to talk about as well. There's definitely there's a battery problem with the machine, and I don't have the original charger for it. So definitely want to talk that through, and that will be a future video. So today's video is just more to give everybody kind of a taste of what this machine was like from 1993-94, and kind of discover what kind of specs this machine has. So on the front of the machine, we have, as I most notably noted, we have the actual battery bay. Now I've had it out. It's quite difficult to get out. It has been rebuilt, but I'm not sure how much the cells are holding in terms of any sort of energy. I mean, I can't fire up the machine by itself, but it does seem to hold the clock long enough. Again, the CMOS batteries need to be replaced, but again, I just had this plugged in already, and it will work. It will keep the system settings for now, but again, after some time it won't. We have our 3.5-inch floppy drive connect in here, and we can test it out on this video because I have yet to test that drive. So on the right-hand side of the laptop, we have a bay that opens up here, and this is for the proprietary mouse that Toshiba offered on this model. I'll make a link in the description below so everybody can see exactly what that was. But essentially, it was a trackball type mouse with a wheel on it that would attach on the side here, and would have two little clicky left and right mouse buttons for it, and it just kind of hung off the side, just latched in there, and it had little clamps that you would release, and it's just really neat to see that. Again, I don't have that for this system at this moment, but it is something that is on the list to complete the system. So I'm going to go ahead and just close that off. And one thing I want to observe or mention is that, you know, for a machine of its age, you know, being almost 30 years old, is having all the different flaps and all that connected are still here. I mean, mind you, I'm being very cautious because of the plastics and the age, but having all the doors that still open up and all the different covers. I mean, I've gotten many machines over the years that just don't have that, and it's just really neat to have that. I'm going to open this up, and again, this is, I mean, the pictures are indicating a mouse and a keyboard. I mean, these are your PS2 connections that are on the side. So here is our PCM CIA bays. So we have the type 1 and type 3 PCM CIA cards that you put in here for expansion. And there's already one inside there at the moment. It's a 14.4 modem that I do not have the dongle for it that's required. One thing I want to just mention is that, you know, just being able to close this up, and if you want to go ahead and use the modem, you just open up the little bay. You wouldn't have to open up the whole thing, which I think is pretty cool. And it keeps it kind of from being exposed when it's in transit and things like that. So you flip down that little door that's here. It would just rest on the desk, and then you insert your dongle into the two little connectors there, and then you would have your connection for the mouse. And it's also an Ethernet card as well, so it granted that connection, that connectivity. So along the back here, we have our VGA port. So the VGA port itself is great to have that external VGA connector. So if you want to hook up an external monitor, if it's something that, you know, if you had an issue with the LCD, you know, for troubleshooting, things like that, it's great to have that, especially on these older machines. If, you know, you're not able to get the LCD replaced, unfortunately, this machine is still working fairly well. So it's just, it's good to have that connectivity. So go ahead and close that. And then as you might have noted probably a moment ago, I just had closed it just so we were focusing on the other, but we have our LPT1, our parallel, our parallel port here as well for our printer connection. For connectivity, it shows a picture of a printer and a picture of a disk drive. I imagine at one point they had a disk drive that you could connect via the parallel port. And then we have, of course, our serial port as well, which we'll be using to connect our mouse to our good old Radio Shack mouse from our earlier videos. I'm going to just go ahead and close that. So that's all that is on the back. And then we have a little bit of a locking area you can use, which, it shows a picture of a lock there. So, again, just be able to lock the machine to the desk. So on this side, we have our external power connector, which I'll talk about in a moment. We have our power on off, here as well, which of course the machine is not functioning, of course, right now because it's not plugged in and there's not enough charge in the battery. It's not holding anything. And then we have our release, for the battery, which of course is also not functioning. So one thing I noticed though is I can get replacement battery packs, rebuilt battery packs for these machines, and I can't for the Lenovo 380XD, which I think is just kind of funny that I'm able to get them for this machine, but not for the Lenovo. So again, if you know anybody who has access to Lenovo 380XD battery, I know it's not related to this machine, but if you do, please leave a comment below. I'd definitely be happy to research that and look into that. So this particular machine, again, I noted I don't have the external battery pack, power connector for this, but I do have a universal laptop connector here. So I do have it set to the 18 volts. That's what's lit up right now. And it does say 18 volts on the machine itself. So that is what I'm using. Again, caution to anybody doing this, making sure that you have the right voltages set up because you don't want to cause any damage to these electronics of the machine. And one thing I just realized, I didn't go over the back, the underbelly of the machine as well. So we'll just do that real quickly. So I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in here just so everybody has a good view of what it is. So here we have, it says, just talking about the battery, contains nickel, cadmium, nickel metal hydride, and or lithium ion battery, depending on the year of when it was in, must be recycled. Then we have our information, our Toshiba, the old logo, so T1960CT/200. And from what I understand, that would be the size of the hard drive, being a 200 megabyte hard drive. So it says system unit, talks about the model information, the DC, there's the 18 volt again with 1.7 amps, serial number, part number, Toshiba America Information Systems Inc. And then we have what looks like a warranty card or warranty information. So it talks about warranty service and shows all the different countries and contact information. And then just model number, serial number, teletyped right onto there. And then we have our expiry date, which is showing January 16th of 1996. So shucks, this is not under warranty anymore. So hopefully everything is working. All right, let's go ahead and just get it all ready to turn on here. It'd be really cool to see what we can see in here. So go ahead and just plug the power in on the side here, and it should light up. Yep, there we go. That's just indicating that it's detecting it, and of course no smoke, which is really nice. I'll go ahead and just slide open that back bay and plug in our serial mouse. I mean, I could use the PS2, but we have the serial mouse here, so just nice to have that. So let's go ahead and just open this up. And here we go, and we have our beautiful Toshiba 1960CT laptop in front of us. Now, one thing to observe, other than the fact of all the grime that I need to clean up on this particular machine, is, I mean, the keyboard feels pretty good. I mean, for the age of the machine, every one of the keys seem to be just working as they should. I mean, I haven't done any sort of typing and testing on the machine just yet, but it's really cool to see that a machine of its age is it seems that the keyboard so far is, we don't have a lot of sticky keys, where a pop might have been dropped on the machine or anything like that, but also the tactile feel of the actual keys. It's membrane. It's not mechanical by any means, but it just has a nice tight feel to it when you're typing. So that's really nice. The other thing I'll mention is that the configuration, the layout, I mean, Alt's here, caps lock is down here, and we have our function key. Then you have your control is up top here, a little bit different, and then your tab left, tab right is up here. And then it's just a slightly different configuration of a keyboard layout. Now, I don't know if laptops are supposed to be more standardized in that era, but definitely just interesting to see the slightly different layout there. All right, let's go ahead and get this fired up. It's nice to see the Intel sticker on there. And given the year of the machine, my gut feeling is that this is a 486 machine. But again, just going to go ahead and just press the on button here. And where I've already had it powered up, I anticipate it won't stop at a CMOS error. So I'm going to hit pause on the machine and just to see what's here. So it says memory initialize is 12 megabytes of memory by the looks of things. And I'm just going to go ahead and let it resume here. And it says starting Windows 95. So that's all we're going to get out of it at this first stage. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on normal for the boot. Now, one thing I did notice that this particular machine did not have a sound card anywhere on the side that I could see. I mean, no sound ports. So, I mean, I imagine you could use the PCM-CIA slot for the expansion. It does have an internal speaker that seems to be working fine. And one thing to know is the hard drive is clicking away just fine here. Given the age of the machine, that's pretty remarkable, I think. And, you know, this machine probably was brought around quite a bit, and the mouse is working just fine. You know, thrown into a laptop bag, taken to school, taken to work, you know, all those good things. And anyway, just really neat to see. And with the size of the screen being so tiny, I mean, I imagine they would have been probably used for hooking up an external monitor at some point to it. So you'd have your laptop to the side, you'd have your PS2 connectivity for your keyboard, mouse, kind of like a docking station would be, and then you'd have your external monitor as well. So yeah, so we have this here. So I'm just going to go ahead and, I mean, they have different icons on the desktop here. I'm just going to see what kind of software is on here. Actually, before we even do that, I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can go into the configuration of the hardware and just to see what we have in terms of the hardware of this particular machine. So it just says, you know, pre-installed user, pre-installed company. I mean, it's just, there's no registration here on this. And computer is a 486 with 12 megabytes of RAM. I'm going to just go ahead and zoom in here a little bit so that we have a good, to give you guys a good view of the screen. Given where it's so small, it's just going to take a few moments here just to get it all kind of worked out here. So yeah, so it says Windows 95, and I mean the quality of the screen is not too bad given the age of the machine, so it's really cool to see that. So under Device Manager, I'm just going to go ahead and load that up. So we know we have a 486, we know we have 12 megabytes of RAM. So it says backpack, it says backpack finder. I'm not exactly sure what that is. If you know, please let me know in the comments. So disk drives, we just have our hard disk drive plus our floppy disk drive. Our display adapters, it just says a Western Digital display adapter. I'm not sure how much video memory would be in this particular machine, but again, this is just a high-level general overview, but we'll find out more as we go on. And then we have our standard floppy drive controllers and our hard disk controllers. And the modem is detecting is that 14.4 data fax modem that I had mentioned. Now, I did mention I thought it was one of those cards that allowed to have the Ethernet connection as well. That's not the case here. So my apologies, I mistaken that. And then monitor, so laptop display panel, 800 by 600 is the resolution that we're currently seeing. And network adapters is just our dial-up adapter, which is part of that PCM card. And then we have our PCM-CIA card as well, which is there. And so we know it's a 486. We know it has 12 megabytes of RAM. Let's go ahead and check the hard drive out and see if that 200 is what says that. So it says here free space of 76 megabytes, but capacity is 200 megabytes. It's just crazy to think that the space back then, that was a lot of space. And, you know, we get more than that on on anything that we have today. And so it's just really cool outside of a floppy disk, of course. And I'm going to go ahead and just get a floppy disk just to see if we can test out that floppy drive and see if that's going to go ahead and work for us. So what better to test it with than a Windows 95 boot disk? So let's go ahead and just pop that right in that drive and see if we're able to detect. Oh, it's definitely making a noise and doesn't sound super healthy. Let's just double click here. It looks like the light is on, it's trying to seek it. Yeah, I'm not getting much activity there, to be quite honest with you. And I don't want to do any damage to the disk here. Let me just try another disk just to see if it's my disk or if it's the drive itself. My gut feeling is the drive itself, given the noise that it's making. Yeah, I'll put my microphone down there so everybody can hear the beautiful sound it's making. And that's it. That's all we're getting. So I'm going to go ahead and make that part of the list of things we need to do to get this machine fully operational again. Just because I'd really like to get that floppy disk drive working. And of course, the entire machine kind of cleaned up and all those good things. So yeah, so that's the computer here. Now let's go ahead and just do a restart on the system and see if we're able to, go into the BIOS. I just want to see if we can go in the system settings and we can get any additional information outside of the machine. All right, what we want to do, we'll go ahead and just restart the computer. Okay, so it says check system and then press the F1 key. So we'll hit F1. And here we are. We're in the system setup by the looks of things. So we have BIOS version 2.5. I'm never going to take the risk on this age of machine to do any sort of BIOS flashing here. So we have our 12 megabytes of memory, but looks of things, our hard disk is listed at 200 megabytes. No power on password, thank goodness. But again, we probably bypassed that given the age of the machine. It shows display as an LCD display mode of color. We have display adapter VGA compatible. No more real information in there at the moment. And our power on display is internal, external. So it is the ability to have it on both internal and external. So it's showing the internal. So our COM, PCM, CIA, FDD, and print ports. So it shows all the different ports that are here. Again, let me just look at this. So you do have the ability to hook up an external floppy disk drive or printer. So right now it's set to printer, but you can go in here and configure it to, and so as I mentioned earlier, it showed a picture of a disk on the back plastic. So interesting. And then it's showing others. So our power mode is to boot, CPU cache is enabled, processing speed is high, our battery save mode, I mean, that's not working. Our pop-up, our speaker, our battery alarm, and our boot priority is floppy disk drive first, and then hard disk drive, which is kind of funny because it's trying to access the drive. So I'm hoping it's just dirty. And if I use a floppy disk cleaning disk, I'm hoping that would save it. So I'll go ahead and just let it continue and boot into Windows, and we're going to see what kind of software is installed on the Windows 95. I just went ahead and exit without saving. There's no point in saving anything information that we're doing at the moment. It's just doing this to test right now on the memory. Good old Windows 95 splash screen. Too bad we don't have the sound going, because I just love the startup sound as well. And just upon quick look at the specs of this machine online on Toshiba's website, I am seeing that it is a 486 DX250 processor. And everything else is correct, as we mentioned, which was the 12 megabytes of RAM, which would have been upgraded, the 200 megabyte hard drive, which would have been upgraded as well, and the Windows 95 OS. So, yeah, definitely really cool to see. All right, let's go on the start here. It's fairly quick to start up, which is really nice. I wonder what display settings we have available to us, again, in the system here. So I'm going to go under here. So we have 256 color. So we do have the ability to go to 16-bit color. And it says you must restart. Let's go ahead and just really quickly restart. And I'll go ahead and resume the video with that restarted. Okay, so we're back and restarted, but we're not restarted with the expectations I was trying to show here, which would have been the 16-bit color. The computer actually didn't end up booting with that color mode. I mean, I didn't change any resolution outside the color and tell it to go back to the 256 colors. That's what we're currently at today. So I also just went and off camera got a brand new floppy disk because I wanted to make sure there was not something wrong with one of those other disks. And maybe it's just wishful thinking, but again, just want to do a quick test to see if the floppy drive. Nope, same noises it's making. Just thought I would just call that out again, just because, again, wishful thinking. It'd be really cool if that worked right off the hop. But again, we'll just make that part of the repair video in getting this old system all set back up. So under, first off, we got to make sure that we go in here real quickly and pick out our background. So we'll go in here, and what do we have? That's our pattern. That's our wallpapers on the right. And we'll just do the good old, anything's better than what we have right now. Let's set up. Oh, that's the Windows 95 setup background. There we go. Perfect. We'll just do that for now. What's this Toshiba information here? Let's go ahead and open that up. So it seems that, oh, there we go. So it shows, this is the actual, it'd be good to back this up. So it says out of production in 10/1/95 is the machine. So just general specifications. And this particular model is the T1960CT 200 MB. And there it is right there. So it's good to know. And then it tells you our input there, our batteries, CPU. There we go. So SL enhanced 486 DX2, 50 megahertz, 3.3 volt. 8 kilobyte cache with integrated coprocessor. So that's great to have this information. This is the data sheet for this particular system already on the desktop. So the research I did was in vain, it seems. So it says here expandable to 20 megabytes of memory, but came standard with 4 megabytes. There's 12 in this machine. And the video card is this, according to this, it's a 1 megabyte video RAM local bus video. So curious why the 16-bit did not work at the 640 by 480 resolution. I'm going to do a little more playing around with it just to see if we can get that going. And it talks about the drive, talks about the hard disk drive. So it came in 200 megabyte or 320 megabyte as well. And then the lights that it has shows them on the front and what they do. Keyboard type, of course, on there. Standard features of the actual machine. And yeah, I mean, it comes with pre-installed software of Microsoft DOS 6.2, 2.1 to be specific, Windows 3.1, Ultra Font as part of the CS version, and then stretched as far as the CT version. Not exactly sure what that is, but again, it comes with the PCMCIA manager and VGA accelerated drivers for 3.1. So it seems that this machine had been upgraded to Windows 95 as well. So that's really interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to backing up this machine and what's on here, just because, again, without the floppy drive working, I want to get that going, get some of these files off of here and go from there. So go ahead and just close that for now. So we have my computer, which we went into. So we have accessories, and we have our games, our standard games that we see through all the operating systems. We have Free Cell Hearts, Minesweeper, and Solitaire. And of course, we have all of our different accessories. And then Act 2 for Windows. We have communication, so Qmail and Terminal. I mean, obviously this was used in some sort of business. MIRC version 5.02. So I don't know if you're familiar with MIRC, but it's an old chat program. Quick link to fax. So I imagine that's for that PCMCIA card as well. Startup, we don't have anything in there. Watchtower Library English. So we have Watchtower Library. We're perfect for Windows 6.1. So that's installed on the machine, which is pretty awesome. And we have our DOS prompt. I don't know if there's any games on here or anything like that. I was hoping to do a quick run of Doom or something like that, but without the actual ability to go in and do that with a floppy disk drive, then it makes it a little more difficult. So it seems to be installed. Everything seems to be going pretty good here. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to Windows. And here we are. So this is the desktop. This is our Toshiba Satellite 1960CT. And so we've determined, this machine is from, 1993, 94, that had warranty right through to 1996. we know we have some issues to work through. So we have a floppy disk drive that is not functioning correctly. It makes that weird noise, as you heard. We have we need to find the power adapter, the proper one that would have came with this machine, again, just to complete the machine. We also have the proprietary mouse that connects on the side here. And again, really excited to show that because I've seen that in pictures. And I mean, I don't know how functional it was or use it was, but definitely something that would be cool to play around with. But all in all, I mean, it seems to be working fairly well. I mean, the speed seems working fairly well. And I would like to give it a really good thorough cleaning, replace the CMOS battery that's in here, do a repair job, like I said, on the floppy drive, and do like I said, a thorough cleaning of the whole system, and really do a complete reinstall of Windows on here as well, just to bring it right back. Maybe we throw Windows 3.1 on this machine and see what it was like running that application, or put Windows 95 back on here. But again, just to give it a thorough cleaning, thorough checkup, and go from there. So that'll be in a future video. Just really cool that it's an Intel 486 DX250 processor with 12 megabytes of RAM, 200 megabyte hard drive, which I still get a kick out of, that we would never fill, and here we are. Well, that's it for today's video. I really hoped you love exploring the vintage 486 Toshiba Satellite T1960CT with me today. I know I really loved reviewing this machine, and really excited to see all the different things we're going to be able to do this in a future video, which will be exciting. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you've owned one of these machines or have experience with these machines, or it'd be really cool to hear about your story. So please give it a comment down below. It'd be really good. And please subscribe. It really helps the channel, helps the channel grow. Really trying to bring all this retro content to the community, and really explore all these older machines. So really exciting to be able to do this. So it helps the channel grow. So please subscribe, and please hit the notification button as well, and be notified when new content is released. And I really appreciate you spending the time today, and I really look forward to seeing everybody in the next video. Bye-bye.